Hey up, you bleeders. We're back making history with a review of the final pay-per-view on ESPN. Two titles at stake, the possible retirement of a legend, a card jam-packed with talent, a card that had only 4 fights above lightweight, a card that had only 4 fighters without a Wikipedia page. Would we have blood, damage, draws, drug failures and drama? Would we have a night of expected results or a night of surprises? Time for us to find out. I'm your host DangerMouse, and this is Just Bleed Radio's Weekend Roundup, episode 79. As I said, this was the last pay-per-view of the ESPN era, and although it was a lot of fun and I could probably wax lyrical about it for some time, everyone knows a threesome is far more fun than a solo event, and so I better get around to introducing the other two parts of this MMA menage a trois. Now, we may wish that they were all California girls, but here we have to make do with a California guy with cauliflower ears. He crushes cans every weekend. Call him up and he will come around and blast whatever's bugging you. He's JBR's colour commentator. Here's Austin. How are we doing today, mate?
I had a night. But it's good. I'm doing good. Rewatched the fights this morning, and I have takes, and I'm ready to talk about them.
Takes will be useful today. And of course, the final piece in this jigsaw, from a corner in Cleveland, is our connoisseur of cannabis. He regularly handles more dough than anyone I know. It's LazyBed. How's things, Lazy? Ready to talk up a storm?
Yeah, I could talk up a storm. I could talk up a snowstorm because the snow's coming down. I haven't handled any dough yet today. Hopefully not until Monday. But yeah, it was a fun night of fights and crazy set of circumstances. So let's get into it.
I should think not. No working on the Sabbath day. All right, then, let's get on with the card. And we'll start with the main event where Petr Yan faced Merab Dvalishvili for the second time to try and snatch the bantamweight belt. Yan won a vacant belt back at UFC 251, lost it after fouling Aljamain Sterling to what some say was a Razzie-worthy acting performance by Aljo. After winning an interim belt, he had another chance to win the belt back from Aljo, but fell short, and that was the first of 3 losses in a row, losing to O'Malley and then to Merab in that famous fight when Merab attempted 49 takedowns. At this point, it looked as if Yan had been, as people like to say, fraud-checked. Yan, though, had other ideas. 2 convincing wins in 2024, put him back on the road to another title shot. He beat Marcus McGee via another unanimous decision in July, and that set him up for another crack at Merab. On our preview show, none of us gave Yan a chance. The machine was just going to roll over Yan in the same old way. We dismissed Yan's claims of having an injured hand, didn't think it mattered that much. Boy, were we. And to be fair, most of the MMA community wrong. Merab tried doing what he always does, but this time he ran into an immovable object. 13 attempts in the first 2 rounds failed. In fact, the only successful takedown in those rounds was done by Yan. Merab was much busier than Yan with his striking, but also much less accurate and seemingly less damaging. Merab's face was bloodied, perhaps a broken nose, but the strikes that really did the damage were the body shots. Yan didn't throw that many, but he rarely missed. A kick in one of the later rounds, the 3rd round, connected very solidly, enough for Merab to cry out in pain. I'm not sure if it was a liver shot or maybe Merab had some broken ribs, but it certainly made him yelp. And I was kind of curious there. I thought that might qualify as a verbal tap.
Let's hear it.
But I checked the rules and you are allowed to scream in pain. So that's good to know, right? This was just a quality performance by Yan. He had a plan and he stuck to it, and for once Merab wasn't able to weaponize his cardio. If I recall correctly, in the last fight, Merab outstruck Yan by about 2-1, and he did in this one too, throwing 458 strikes to Yan's 251. The key difference in this fight was the accuracy, Merab landing only 34% of his strikes, while Yan was hitting at 60%. So Merab's winning streak finally came to an end. His hope of 4 title defenses in a calendar year failed. As Yan said, machines break, and he fulfilled that prophecy. And I think that's enough waffling from me. So, Lazy, what did you think of the fight? And was this just a repeat of RDR fighting too many times in a year? Do you think we'll ever see 4 successful defenses of a title in a year?
I do think that this was a product of fighting too much in 1 year. And that kind of sucks for Petr Yan because, man, the guy put on a hell of a fucking performance last night. And as much as I want to give him full credit for it, I think he deserves a lot of credit. Like, I'm divided because I really do feel like competing 4 times in 1 year was too much, even for somebody like Merab. And the proof's in the fucking pudding. Just, man, well, I got to start, so I don't sound like I'm diminishing the win. I want to give credit to Piotr Jan, because that was school in session. That was an all-time performance there. He's got people like Luke Thomas saying, that was one of the greatest performances they've ever seen. And when you take into account everything surrounding this victory, I suppose it is, to be a one-time champion, to fall from grace, quote unquote, find your way back to the title against a monumental challenge like the Machine, and to come out and do what he did, looking like vintage Piotr Jan, sharp as attack, quick, fast, varying the attacks, stuffing countless fucking takedowns. Just you can't say enough superlatives and enough good things about Jan's performance. And as I keep saying, he deserves a lot of credit. But I keep pointing that out because now to go to the Merab side, probably bit off more than he can chew, really. Demanded too much of himself, demanded too much of his body, expected too much of a body that he's really taxing and he's pushing to the limit, because that is his fighting style. His way of winning fights has always been pushing the limits of human capabilities and pushing the limits of endurance. And I think that 4 weight cuts in a year, getting down to that, especially championship weight, the immense challenge and stress and the weight on the shoulders, it had to have had an effect on him last night. And I think that, of course, somebody with the skill set and the mental fortitude of Merab has the ability to bounce back. But unless he's given this immediate rematch, it could be more difficult than imagined, because even if it's just 2 fights to get back, into title contention, he's going to be 35, maybe pushing 36, depending on how quickly they continue to let him fight. By the time he gets back at a title shot, some people are already guessing that he's slipping. So it sucks for Merab fans, people like me who enjoyed him and enjoyed his reign and his run. But really, this is a bit of fresh air in the division. I think that a lot of the more casual fan base is jumping for joy. I know Hunter Campbell, for one, he was in the fucking crowd smiling and clapping as the final round ended, knowing that they don't have another grappler as a champion anymore. So, from a marketing standpoint, from a casual fan standpoint, I think it's a win. The only and the real downside here is I think it's really fucking obvious that now if Sean O'Malley beats Song Yadong in their upcoming fight, Sean O'Malley's right back into a title shot, right back in there against Piotr Jan, who he has a victory over. So we could be seeing a Sugar Show versus No Mercy Part 2 soon.
Dana White privilege in full order.
Yes, sir.
You said something that I was going to comment on and I've forgotten what it was. Not to worry, though. Austin, thoughts on the fight, and do you think we would have seen a different result last time if Jan hadn't been injured, or was his success this time because he'd already spent 25 minutes in the cage with Merab, allowing him to have a game plan that may have been inspired by, as Lazy just commented about, Sean O'Malley showing that Merab could be hurt to the body when he landed that last-minute kick. And of course, you can talk about the Merab fighting too many times, because we were discussing that before the show started.
If we're talking the context of the first fight, where Jan said his hand was injured, which I'm not going to say was a lie or was verified, but it gave us a peek at what Merab was capable of in a championship style matchup. And what that basically gave Jan was a blueprint of, okay, this is how he fights. This is what we expected. He exceeded those expectations and had answers for things that we were not prepared for. And on top of it too, that was also on the strew of losing a losing streak that he had, because he had lost twice to Aljamain. Granted, one was his disqualification with the idiot mistake choice of a kick or a knee. I'm sorry. And then he loses a controversial decision to Aljamain, and then he loses again to Sean O'Malley in a controversial decision. To me, it was more, if we're bringing that into context, it's more like, okay, he was at the bottom of what could possibly be his peak. And in this sport, I think you have multiple peaks. As the same for Merab, right? Merab had kind of like found his way coming into the UFC as like this guy from the Cerro Longo gym, and he had put himself in positions where he probably wasn't supposed to win, but he managed to kind of fight his way through it. Like, I mean, even like that fight he had with oh god, I forget his name, but he had lost via submission, and he was pushing the kicks. Like he himself found himself in that position, and just was like trying to fight through it. Like, maybe not everything is just cardio, but both men kind of had these points of like excellence, and now they're at the opposite end, at the crossroads of their career. Jan being the younger fighter, but had already been champion, and Merab having a great championship like run and winning streak going into the title fight that he won the title from O'Malley on, and now he finds himself at the bottom of this title ring. And I'm not saying that it's one thing or the other, but let's look at the facts. He fought 4 times this year, right? If I'm not mistaken.
You are
and
not.
he had looked extremely good in the 3 title fights prior, right? He gets the rematch. He has the title winning performance, of which he takes the title off of Sean O'Malley, right? And then he defends it against Umar Nurmagomedov in a very close, competitive fight, of which he finds a way to like just persevere. And then he defends against fucking Sean O'Malley again, and he actually finishes him much quicker and much easier in the second fight. And that was supposed to be the best Sean O'Malley. And then he defends against Corey Sandhagen, who had looked like the guy who was never going to get he basically a Dustin Poirier of the division, right? A guy who was a good fighter, always capable, never down him in a fight, but he had, made him kind of look silly at certain points and nearly finished him himself. Like, he had looked amazing going into this fight. For me, it's not so much that you could see Jan finally peaking again and coming back into championship form, getting his 3 wins, looking better in each one of those wins, kind of having a very competitive fight with even McGee, right? And I'm not saying that it was the putting the tremendous work on your body, the load that it was probably having coming into this fight, because he had just made a short turnaround. I'm not too like if I'm not mistaken, this is like a shorter turnaround than he normally does, right? And
So yeah.
he put himself in a position not for failure, but for a for the wheels to finally fall off. And there's a point of which, like, yeah, you if you fight enough, you're going to lose. He had won 14 fights in a row. At some point, he was going to lose, right? Whether it be Jan or somebody else, or he goes up and faces somebody, or even Pantoja, if Pantoja had ever decided to come up, like it's one of those things where it's like at some point he was going to lose, whether it be this fight or not. I mean, like I would have never have assumed that Merab himself, who probably takes care of his body, keeps himself in shape, like at some point, like Rabdo, you wear your body down to a point, but I don't believe it's so much that as much as it is like Jan came in with the perfect game plan. He countered wrestled the actual wrestling machine. He put stops in motion, had an answer for every single counter that Merab was throwing in. And when he forced Merab to stand, like after multiple times of defending the takedown, losing the takedown, countering the takedown, actually taking down Merab, and then keeping the fight on the feet, he pinpointed strikes as much as he needed to. There was no point of which Merab could answer back effectively and regularly. In that that confused Merab, because usually Merab is the one controlling the dance. He's controlling the rhythm of the fight. He's pushing the pace. He's keeping you up against the fence. He's finding a way for him to take you down. Even when he actually had Jan on his shoulders, he like fought through that takedown. And then, dude, there was a point of which Jan literally countered with the beautiful fucking takedown. That fucking, you could see Merab looking up like, oh fuck, he got me. Like, he was not prepared for that. And that was the thing where it's like you're looking at this fight like Jan came in to win. He didn't care how he was going to do it. He was just going to fucking concentrate and put down the work for it. Merab is usually that guy. And it was the first time he was the nail in a very long time. And it was crazy to see because you're looking at a guy who has always been the hammer and not the nail. And Jan has been the nail once or twice before, so he knows what it's like. And he decided, hey, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna do that again. You know, I'm gonna make sure I put my stamp on this fight one way or another. And even when Jan got hurt, he never overextended himself. He was measured. He found ways of which he needed to cut off the cage, look for elbows, knees. That body kick he landed on Merab, like he knew what he had to do. He didn't need to finish Merab. He had to hurt Merab. And he hurt Merab multiple times in this fight. And that's the thing that everybody kind of forgets because you're so worried about the takedown that you forget to hurt your opponent. Jan said, I need to hurt my opponent. And that's how he won this fight, which was a beautiful performance. I don't think it's so much that Merab was at the end of his physical capabilities. I think Jan just actually came up and showed us why he was a champion.
Yeah, nicely
Jeez. Austin giving dissertations over here. Come on, man.
done. For sure.
My bad. I know I kind of went on long on that one.
No, it's fine. You gave me a chance to remember what I was thinking of mentioning. Apparently, Merab did do his usual 5 rounds of hard sparring in the morning. Maybe he shouldn't have done on this occasion.
Well, I don't think he anticipated on getting taken down more than twice as many times as he was able to land himself. So
No, I dare say he didn't.
Ridiculous.
Anything else to add?
No, we need to move it along. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay,
We said plenty.
well,
We said plenty.
okay, well, I did a lot of yapping. Actually, we all did a lot of yapping about the last fight, but it did go on for 25 minutes, so that seems fair enough. The co-main was for the flyweight strap and featured crafty veteran Alexander Pantoja against Joshua Van, a guy who wasn't even ranked at the start of the year, and it lasted a grand total of 26 seconds when Van caught a high kick, pushed Pantoja off balance, causing him to throw out an arm to break his fall. Unfortunately, he landed at an awkward angle and dislocated his shoulder. It popped straight back in, but this time we did get a verbal tap, and that was it. So we have a new champion. Van won this fight fair and square, albeit via a very unfortunate accident. I think the thing I think many people disliked was his celebration of the win. He was sort of celebrating it as if he'd just led Pantoja out, jumping up on the cage. And I think he could have been a little more classy about it. But as we've been saying, he's a young, inexperienced kid, and I can forgive him for getting so excited about this. I did see him hugging Pantoja, comfort him on the cage afterwards. But both of these fighters were draft picks, but there was no rivalry in this contest because Austin picked them both. I could be wrong, but I believe it was the worst possible result for him in terms of points, but that's neither here nor there. We'll have to wait to see how long Pantoja will be out with his injury, but he must surely be given a chance to get his belt back. The only question is, will Van attempt to defend it before the rematch? Take it away, Austin. This is your mess. Sort it out.
I love it. It's like my fault. No, I hate this. I fucking hated this. I hated it. I hated everything about this. From like the moment the bell rang, I just felt like there was like this this doubt in the air about Pantoja being able to defend. And it had been through the case throughout the week. You hear a lot of pundits saying like Luke Thomas was always picking against Pantoja to begin with, you know, and there's a whole concept of, you know, a guy like Pantoja, he's on the older side. We were just talking about it with Merab. Like Van was like the perfect pick for this fight because he had just decided to say, you know, fuck it. I didn't give a shit that I lost to my Charles Johnson. I'm going to come back and I'm going to win the title. I just don't think he pictured it via, you know, injury. You know, and as for Pantoja, this sucks, man, because it's like he was getting into like fighting. He was getting into like, he's throwing strikes. The dude fucking threw a high kick. Like Pantoja doesn't really throw high kicks, you know. He was getting into it. He's like, I'll fucking tangle with this this young pup.
He
But
might never throw another one now.
I know, yeah, but fucking A, dude. Like I hated it. I think I threw my hat at the TV when it happened. I I understand being a young dude and being in a title fight and just like thankfully you like you said he had his moment with Pantoja after it, but like dude you can't celebrate a win via injury that you did not even mean to cause. Like you literally just pushed him back and he injured himself. This isn't TJ Dillashaw coming in with a fucking dislocated shoulder and an Aljamain fucking pummeling him for 2 rounds, right? And then just exploiting the fact that he was injured and then decided to go through with it. No, Pantoja made the right call. Dude, I can't fucking do anything. My arm is fucking dislocated. Like, what are we doing here? You know? Like, that was the right call. But, like, acting like you fucking knocked him out, acting like you submitted him, acting like you actually defeated the fucking champion of the world. No, no. I mean, I'm even saying I don't even want him on my fucking draft team next year. So
Lazy no well
look.
taken. Who knows?
I know he can have that fucking cheater. Like it's fine.
Uh-uh.
No, I'm being pissy. Let me be pissy.
Okay.
I think I wish we could have gotten a little bit more, at least a fucking couple of minutes of them going back and forth. Even if Van fucking dropped it, you know, at least then we would have something to show for at least, okay, you know, like even in the Tom Aspinall fight with Gon, there was at least a moment of where you could say, okay, I can see where there's issues for Tom in the next fight. I can see where the fight was kind of going, right? There's evidence to suggest that, you know, Tom was not going to be able to win that fight if it continued past the first round, right? This fight, we didn't even get that. So it's like, in my opinion, it's honestly worse because it's like we didn't even get a real fight out of it because we were experiencing an exchange and then an incident occurred, and that's kind of the shit part of it. If I could, I would give up my fucking points just to have Pantoja still as champion, just so that we could have like a real fucking fight that took place. But whatever.
I picked him to be champ at the end of the year, so I join you in that. You can. I'll give you points.
Thank you. But you know, it was more disappointing on my end, and I know Lazy's gonna have a real take, so I'd like to end my turn so that way I can rebuttal to whatever he has to say.
Take it away then, Lazy. Austin's brought you in there. Perfect segue.
Cheater? How did he fucking cheat? Joshua Van is no cheater. He defended the head kick and he shoved Pantoja down. Now, that's the crux of the situation. This happened because he was defending himself from the head kick. Now, he couldn't have foresaw that Pantoja was going to post his arms to try to catch himself when he was going down. That's on him. But the action in and of itself was Joshua Van using a defensive action. The injury that occurred is a result of him defending himself. Whether he had premeditated causing that injury or not, you know, that's not the point. The point is it happened due to a defensive action and Pantoja trying to stop himself. So I think the whole argument of people trying to fucking it's really going on online, people trying to discredit Van here in this win, saying that he did nothing to earn this victory. That's bullshit. Like that wasn't it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, he got to the cage to fight for the belt, so that he did enough to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, like I get that this was a freak situation, but it's no more a freak situation than when Joe Pyfer fucking snapped his arm in half in a similar situation when being taken down and trying to post his arm. Like it's happened in boxing. It's happened in BKFC just recently, like last year when Lorenz Hunt, I believe it was, got knocked down and as he was falling, put his arms behind him to catch himself, posted and snapped his fucking elbow. Like this isn't uncommon. This is something that happens in combat sports when you use bad technique. Part of being a combat sports athlete, and especially somebody that performs in MMA and jiu-jitsu and wrestling, is knowing how to fall. Knowing how to brace yourself and how to not brace yourself. This was a mistake on Pantoja's behalf to try to catch himself like that. and you have a moron like DC on the commentary saying, "Oh, he does that all the time. I bet you he does that all the time. It's so crazy that this happened."
What's crazy about that is he's done that a million times. Posted that arm to the mat when he was falling. And just this time, broken arm.
A complete freak accident.
You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to fucking stick your fucking arms out with stiff joints and just hope for the best when you come into the contact with the ground. Like, that's not how physics works. That's not how the human anatomy works. It's ridiculous. But that's all beside the point here. Like, I think it's an unfortunate situation for Pantoja, who is one of the good guys in MMA, who is criminally underrated, who we discuss it all the time. Like, he deserves more shine than he gets, and he doesn't get it because he is a flyweight. But I think on the flip side of the coin, it is equally bullshit to not give Joshua Van his due credit in this situation and to not admit that he earned this and that he got himself to this position rightfully. And he walks out of here with a victory. You know, it just kind of is what it is. The situation happened. We got to accept it. And I think that Josh Van had every right to fucking celebrate. The kid is, how old is he? 24?
24.
The second youngest UFC champion ever. The first UFC champion from Myanmar. The first overall from Southeast Asia. Like, basically sets his family up here with an opportunity at generational wealth, coming from nothing to where he's at now in this short span of time. Like, I would be celebrating and freaking out too, especially if I was 24. So I can't hold it against the guy. It sucks, but I think that this situation is ultimately going to heal itself. Pantoja will rehab his injury, which has been confirmed to be an elbow injury, despite them claiming multiple times on the broadcast last night and afterwards that it was a shoulder injury. Why they were trying to tell us it was a shoulder injury when it was fucking clear as day his elbow exploded on the fucking replay. Like, it's beyond me, but they insisted it was. It's now since come out that it is indeed the elbow, not the shoulder. You fucking idiots. We all saw it. So he'll heal up. He'll rehab that elbow. And he's going to find himself straight back into a title shot as soon as he's ready to come back. Like I said, this situation is going to shake itself out because he'll get what he deserves, which is his rematch, as soon as he's ready. And in the meantime, we get to see the possibility of Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira, which Dana White already said last night. They're looking at venues in both Japan and Singapore for that. I'll take either one, preferably Japan. Or I'll take it anywhere it could happen. And that also means Pantoja's running mate, Kyoji Horiguchi, who really is the man who got screwed the most last night by Pantoja losing the belt, he still stays in the mix because now he can face, you know, a Brandon Moreno or a Brandon Royval when Manel Kape falls out of their fight inevitably. He could face him on the undercard of that. Like, so he still stays in the mix. So flyweight still stays relevant. All these same guys still stay in the mix. And at the end of the day, Pantoja is still going to get his chance to reclaim his belt when he's ready for it. So while the situation sucks, it could be a hell of a lot fucking worse. This division is still healthy, and I'm still excited about 125.
Yeah, Dana did say when Pantoja was walking out the cage, "Don't worry, we'll get you back in there as soon as we can." So he did say that. It's funny though, this we've just had with Pantoja and Merab have both come to the end of, I forget, they're both on like 14 or 15 fight win streaks. And we've seen quite a few people get to that number, and they all seem to falter. Kamaru Usman did. I think he was at 14 or 15. He dropped. The only people who got to 16 are, of course, Silva and Islam Makhachev. So yeah, that's a mystic number now. If you can get to 16 wins in a row or more, you're up there with the goats.
Am I allowed to rebuttal, or should we move along?
Yes, yeah, we definitely should. For the feature bout, we had Japanese sensation Tatsuro Taira facing former flyweight champ Brandon Moreno. Could Moreno beat the youngster and edge closer to a title shot? The short answer is no, but I might as well talk about the fight a little bit. After about 90 seconds feeling each other out in the first round, the fight hit the ground, but it was Moreno who came very close to a triangle finish. Taira, though, remained cool as a cucumber and just ended the round up on his feet. Round 2, Moreno did a fantastic sprawl to defend the first takedown that Taira attempted, but he allowed Taira to grab hold of him, and then he landed a sweet little judo trip. I love those. And after that, it was all Taira. He took Moreno's back, very quickly flattened him out before he started raining down ground and pound. Ref Mark Smith didn't give Moreno a ton of time, but he certainly saved him some brain cells. And it was probably the only good decision Mark Smith made all night. It was Tatsuro Taira defeated Brandon Moreno, TKO punches, 2 minutes 24 second round. Austin, I'll go to you first. Thoughts on the fight, and do you think we see Taira take on Van before Pantoja returns? And if you do, care to make a prediction who wins? Won't be legally binding.
Yeah. No, so here's the thing. Like, Moreno isn't old, but he's a veteran for sure, right? Because he's like, what, 32, 31, right? He's not 35 or 36. Like, he's been in there.
Oh no, it's just a lot of wear on him.
Yeah, he's just got more wear on him. And I think if you're looking at the fight, tell me, Mouse, did you have an issue with the stoppage or no?
Oh God, no.
Okay, yeah, that's how I felt too. It's not even so much that he was hurt. It was more like he had nowhere else to go, and therefore, if you cannot continue to defend yourself and like find your way out of that position, it is up to the ref to decide if you've had enough, in his eyes. And that was a fine stoppage in my opinion, because like he actually was grappling pretty well with Taira, right? He reversed the first takedown, and he even found himself in position to attempt a submission. But I think that was kind of the bad point of his game plan, to attempt a submission of which he cannot find himself a way out of said position, right? And it's that adage, submission before submission, and this is kind of the result of that. And he put himself in a position to possibly finish the fight early, but he couldn't get it. Therefore, he lost the first round, in my opinion. And regardless of how you kind of look at it, he kind of gave up the ability to take the win, because after that, he kind of seemed lackadaisical. He was kind of fighting half measured, trying to reserve his gas tank, which usually he doesn't need to do because he's got a pretty good gas tank. And then Taira just managed to just take him down and just pummel him from that point on. Like, even the scrambles were pretty back and forth, but once Taira actually got him like where he needed him, it was pretty much like one-sided after that point. And it's not that I don't think Moreno's over the hill or done as a competitor. He just met somebody who just made sure to not let him get out of that position, and he took advantage of it. If Taira gets the next title shot against Van, we know Van has the ability to defend a takedown, and they're both pretty young, 24 and 25 respectively. Although Van has only had a limited amount of top tier fights or elite fights. Tatsuro Taira is kind of the opposite. He's actually lost not too long ago too, and this is his second fight back from that loss, and he's looked pretty good ever since. So it's kind of tough. Do you favor the young striker or the young grappler? One of those two, right? I got a feeling it's going to be the young striker should be capable of defending the takedown because he has more ways to win. But if the grappler gets a hold of him, I don't know if Van has the ability to continue to fight the takedowns. It's like the Marab adage, right? If it doesn't matter if you can defend one, can you keep defending him? And I'm gonna favor Taira if they do fight, and especially over 25 minutes.
Yeah. It's strange how looking at the UFC stats for this fight, and in round 1 it's got showing Tatsuro Taira having 3.5 minutes of control time. Is that just because he stood over him or something? I've no idea.
Yeah, it's got to be that whole because he wasn't attempting the submission anymore. Yeah, he was just he gave up I think at some point the hold, and he was locking his legs, so he couldn't just let him go, which was the weird part, I think, for Moreno. Like, he was, I think, afraid of letting the position get to a point of him being on the bottom and not having the attempt itself of the submission. So probably like a game saving, a round saving choice, but a fight losing decision, I would say.
Yeah, I just noticed they did score Tatsuro Taira with a reversal, so I'm presuming that's why they gave him the 3.5 minutes control time. But still, yeah, a little bit strange. Lazy, we all picked up Taira, so the result probably didn't surprise you, except perhaps that it wasn't a sub. So let's hear your thoughts on the fight and any ideas what's next for Moreno. Can the baby assassin grow up and get another shot at the belt, or is there too much talent above him?
Well, I might got a couple ideas what to do with Moreno, but I have no idea what the hell Austin just said. So hopefully I don't repeat anything that he just mentioned. So I'll just keep it short. What's next for Moreno is probably, unfortunately, kind of being that top 5 gatekeeper. I think that his days of title contention probably behind him. Not that he had a bad accounting of himself last night, but the guy, despite his age, I think he's 31. He's got a lot of wear and tear on the body. He's been around a long time. He's been through some wars. He's seen the best of the best, and we talked about this on the preview show. And it's tough to see a guy like that you really like and that fans really enjoy, kind of unfortunately seemingly being a step behind these younger guns that are coming up. And, I don't know if Austin brought it up. I'm sure he did. The stoppage being a little bit controversial here.
We did talk about it a little bit, yeah.
I would admit. Yeah. Well,
we both thought it was fine.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think it was relatively fine. Like, I think if anything, if it was allowed to continue going, he was just going to absorb more damage. And it's tough because we said on the previous show again how close this fight was coming in and how it was kind of one of the more difficult fights to predict, because I anticipated Moreno having a huge edge in the stand-up, and while he did still look good on the feet for the brief time that this fight went on, it wasn't as glaring as I thought it would be. I don't think so much that it was massive leaps in improvement from Taira. It's just the speed. The speed was super apparent. The difference in the ability to go from point A to point B and to connect with the target. It was so much on the side of Taira. And that's a scary concept and a scary thing to think of at 125, where speed and reflexes and everything are at a premium. Like that's your number one attributes down there. So if he's starting to fall behind these younger guys, which it kind of looked like to me, and he's never been the greatest grappler, he's just always been adequate and an athletic enough guy to find his way out of these situations. It's not a very promising outlook. So I think that for Moreno, this kind of bodes for him being, like I said, a top 5 gatekeeper kind of at best. And like I mentioned in the previous fight, I wouldn't mind seeing him against maybe like a Horiguchi, even though Horiguchi's coming off a win. I just feel like those two guys are a good style matchup. And it would be an enjoyable fight. So maybe somebody like that would work for him. But to wrap up my thoughts on this, like, you really got to shine the light and give all of the kudos and stuff to Taira here, because the kid looked fucking great, man. He looked so good out there. His hands did look improved. His striking did look slightly better. But again, the speed was on full display. Like, kid's quick as a whip. He's deadly in these grappling scenarios. Even if he didn't, get the submission here, he really has phenomenal jiu-jitsu. And just, he's a really, really big threat to everyone in this division. And, outside of maybe that weird position in the first where Moreno sort of had him in like a kind of triangle type situation, it was pretty much all Taira. And I wanted to highlight, I had actually wrote it down, the takedown to a brief full mount from Taira in the second, and then scramble into the back take, just the fluid movement. He is a really good fighter, definitely somebody to watch. Probably going to be a title contender in this division for years to come. So I think they got to give him the title shot against Van. I think in the meantime, while Pants heals up, it's only logical you strike while the iron's hot. You put these two Asian talents together. two of the best young flyweights in the game, and you see what they can do.
That'll be a fun fight for sure. I wouldn't object to seeing that.
Fuck yeah.
All right, next up, we had another fight that had draft points at stake. Not that they really mattered, though, because Lazy and his fighting nerds have trounced us this year. And I'm going to let him have his moment of glory in a moment. But I just want to say a few things first. So, patience, Grasshopper. We saw at bantamweight Peyton Talbot defeat Henry Cejudo via unanimous decision, 30-27. And I'm not going to say much about Peyton Talbot other than congratulating him on a great dominant performance against the former double champ. I'm not and never have been or even will be a massive fan of Triple C, but he does deserve respect. An Olympian, a WSC champion, and he showed us the spirit that earned him those honours last night. He had his moments in the fight, but he never looked as if he was going to win. He was bloodied up and he had eaten a bunch of body shots that would have folded most men, but he just would not quit. He finally had the retirement video roll out, and it's just a shame for him that he retired and gave up 3 years of his prime trying to make a money play on Dana. Who knows what his record could have looked like had he stayed on. But I don't want to end on a negative note, so I'll just say congratulations on losing, but still having a great final fight. I believe Dana has paid him his win money. So as a bonus to yourself, buy yourself something nice, champ. And with that, it's over to Lazy. Nice short one. Looks like Henry.
Yeah. Everything's short on him except for his head. He's got a big fucking head. God. This fight, man, a lot to say. A lot that you could get into. Break it into two halves. Start with the Henry Cejudo side. Echo a lot of your sentiments, DangerMouse. A guy in Henry Cejudo who DC pointed it out last night, basically walked onto the wrestling mats as a kid, was never really expected to achieve the heights he achieved, did some incredible things, Olympic gold medalist, UFC champion, UFC double champion. You can't take nothing away from him except to say that he did walk away in his prime very foolishly to chase a bigger payday, which it backfired in his face incredibly bad. He never got that extra money that he so desired. Chased fights as desperately as he could while he was away, while constantly being ridiculed and turned down by his fellow fighters and made fun of by MMA talking heads. He's been the fodder of many jokes, and rightfully so. Because realistically, this is a guy who I'm not going to get political, and I'm not going to take this somewhere it shouldn't go, but he tried to discredit his heritage and who he was, who he is, and where he came from. He tried to discredit his people when it was beneficial for him. And then last night, when the going was getting tough and they're headed into the final round of his final fight, what does his coach say to him? Henry, remember you're Mexican. Show your Mexican boxing and Mexican fighting spirit.
The toughest fucking guy I've ever met. We have 5 more minutes. Head down. Mexican. Let's just box. We gotta try and knock this motherfucker out.
Awfully funny how you're a fucking Mexican when the chips are down, but you're not a Mexican when the cards are high and you're running the fucking show. That's pretty funny, Henry. So, is what it is there. This is a guy who's been polarizing throughout his career. Credit where credit's due for your athletic accomplishments, but your extracurriculars have always made you a less than savory person. So enjoy retirement, enjoy full-time podcasting, which you were already doing before this. Unless I think of something else, that's all I got to say on Henry Cejudo. But for Peyton Talbot, Team LazyBed, 2025 JBR draft pick, part of the winning team of the champions of the world. It was a really, really good performance, and I mentioned prior to this fight on our preview show, Peyton Talbot's last fight against Felipe Lima, I believe it was, Jungle Boy, who was undefeated, headed into that fight, who had a lot of the same skill set and talents as a Henry Cejudo, maybe without the gold medals and things of that nature, but wrestling ability, grappling ability, shorter stature guy, very strong, very explosive, everything kind of Henry was in his prime. And we saw how Peyton was able to bounce back from the loss to Johnny Barcelos against Lima and show that he rapidly had shored up many of those holes that he had, except for the big one in his middle of his body and his butthole. But he shored up a lot of those holes.
Damn it, Liz.
It is a game. And what do you know? Against fucking Henry Cejudo, we saw the same thing. He was out wrestling the Olympian. He was the one, much like Piotr Jan against Merab, he was the one landing the takedowns against the far superior wrestler. And not only was that happening in this fight, but he was also just destroying Henry on the feet. The very first 1-2 that he had hit Henry with, was thunderous. It fucking echoed throughout the arena. Like it was just smacked him. And that continued throughout the fucking fight. Like everything he was hitting Henry with was solid. It was damaging. And especially, much like the main event, the body work, those body shots that he was hitting Henry with, visible damage, visible pain and excruciating like uncomfort and discomfort. Henry did not like those body shots at all. And one small credit to DC, because he was pointing it out on the broadcast, had Peyton kind of stuck to the body work a little bit more, maybe mixed it up a little bit more and continued to hit down to the breadbasket, probably could have got Henry out of there, but I'm not going to take anything away from him. He looked really good. He answered a lot of the questions that I and many other people continue to have. I thought probably his best career performance to date, without a doubt. And likely now, if he takes Henry Cejudo's spot, finds himself number 10 in the division, should be facing guys in the top 10 going forward. So, buddy, you are in the deep end now. You're swimming with the fucking sharks. You're swimming in the Frank Ocean, if you will. So just
I was waiting for the ocean joke.
It just came to me right there. So yeah, it's going to be tough sledding for him going forward. It's going to be tough. Like, he is not the polished, finished product that you want in the top 10, but I'll be damned if he doesn't have the capabilities to become that. And he's shown that he could do it in short order. So looking forward to Peyton Talbot and happy trails, Henry Cejudo, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the ocean came for him last night. Austin, I'm sure you'll have something to add, so let's hear it.
Holy fuck. I don't know how to follow that up. I'll say this about Talbot first, and then I'll move on to Henry. I remember I said on the previous show that he was probably going to win and make it fairly one-sided, and I was correct on that, only because Henry was game, but just was not going to win, even in a Hail Mary sakes. I mean, he was game to wrestle. He was game to strike. He knew what Henry's triggers were to set up like takedowns or to even counter those. I mean, when we first saw him like get that first takedown, and you saw that like, oh yeah, I could wrestle too. It kind of reminded me of that whole thing with like Happy Gilmore, where he's like, oh, looks like Happy learned how to putt. Like, yeah, okay, Peyton Talbot learned how to wrestle. And then they said on the broadcast, like, you got Daniel Cormier stops the broadcast to say, oh, I just got a text message. Apparently, Peyton Talbot could wrestle. Like, he wrestled in high school. He was fairly good. I just had to say that. Like, oh, okay. Now we're just stopping the broadcast to just get text messages. That's fine, DC. That's fine. But no, but like he showed how capable he is. He knows how to shore up his game. I think he wanted to be someone who was kind of like a Sean O'Malley, where I can use grappling as a defense if needed, but I don't need to worry about it as an offensive weapon. And he shored that up. No, hey, if you're in this game and you want to compete at the high level, wrestling has to be a part of your game. You don't even need to be a high level wrestler. You need high level wrestling ability. That's the thing, and he used it. And Henry has never been consistent with his wrestling. He's been inconsistent as of late with it. And the thing that always made me kind of wonder with Peyton Talbot was if he can use it in an offensive situation. And by God, he did. And he put it, even when he would get reversed, he made Henry have to defend. And I think that was the thing that we usually don't see from Henry. And on top of it too, like he put the work on, Cejudo. Like he bludgeoned him. I can't remember the last time I saw Henry that beat up, in a fight. And that's the thing. You look at a fight like this and you kind of remember that Henry, is on the older side, and he gave up 3 years of his career, and he had been struggling to be a guy that was competitive in this division, even when he was actually competitive in fights. Like Peyton Talbot is not even the top 10, like he's not even a top contender. He's on the bottom end, and that's fine. And he put the work on a former champion. Like that's not easy to do. I mean, we're the opener for this this pay-per-view. We'll tell you that, right? But that's one of those things. It's like Talbot is a guy. He's a legitimate contender. Is he the guy? I don't know yet. I would like to see him against another guy, possibly, someone like a Rob Font, Corey Sandhagen, one of those two. Like that would give us a better indication of where he's at. But he's there. He's in the top 15. He's going to be in the top 10 soon. Like he's on his way. Let's just not rush him yet. As far as Henry, dude, Lazy said everything I think I wanted to say, and better probably than I would. And here's the thing, man. Like he gave his soul to be here, essentially. And I cannot fault a man for wanting to compete at the highest level and think highly of himself, and then find a niche, whether it be cringy or not, to sell fights on. Did he deserve a lot of the flack that he got? Yes, a lot of it, especially a lot of the things that Lazy had mentioned. Like, here's the thing, man. I have respect for the fact that you're an Olympian. I have the respect for you, the fact that you are a one-time champion and then defended the flyweight and bantamweight titles both times. Like he took the titles and then defended said titles and then kind of left them. Not the career I would have wanted, not the career I think a lot of fighters would want, but he tried. And the worst that you could say is that he tried. And as a man, you can only give him the credit of a champion that only sought better for himself. But at the same time, a man who also was willing to step over others and forget where he came from. That's for damn sure. And as he kind of said it himself, he's like, yeah, I couldn't keep up with it. That last exchange with Peyton Talbot, where Peyton is trying to rip his fucking head off with strikes, and Henry says, like, looks at him, and he's just like barely surviving, skimming away against the fence line. That said it. Hey, he gave all he could give. He gave all he could give. And that was the end of it. And that's when you should walk away from the sport at that point. Say, yeah, I can't do this anymore with these guys. That's perfectly understandable. I have no regrets about him saying that he's done. Hopefully he finds something that he's better at other than talking on podcasts, because he's not very good at it.
He's good at fight breakdowns. I've quite enjoyed him when he's done those.
There it is. Take notes.
He's a good coach too. He makes a good coach.
His coach retired on the night as well, didn't he? At the same time.
Yeah, it's the only real fighter left.
No, that was the thing I was going to say. Right at the end of the round, when he did the Max Holloway point down at the ground, come on, let's go for the last 10 seconds. And Talbot actually stood there and did give him a chance. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Even
if he did start throwing spinning kicks into the middle of it as well. But
Talbot was very respectful throughout this. I think that he deserves some credit for that too. The sportsmanship on saying, like, this is Henry's moment, give him the fucking mic, and he just basically left the cage.
Yeah, very, very cool. Okay, then the opener for the main card was the light heavyweight fight between Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov, where we saw a rare majority draw, 29-28, 28-28, 28-28. First round was competitive, but Jan was delivering Polish power in the form of calf kicks that very quickly had Bogdan's leg turning purple, and I'd say that's what won the round for him. The second round had me screaming at the TV as Bogdan caught Jan with a solid punch as he was moving backwards, and that sent him crashing to the floor. Bogdan took top position and was raining down elbows, but although he clearly hurt Jan, in fact, we saw him cry out in pain as a very solid elbow hit him above the eye. Bogdan was not able to get the finish. I was screaming for that because I had him by second round finish. The question, though, was it a 10-8 round? Everyone's favourite online judge, Aaron Bronstetter, was happy enough to give it the triple D. No, not dangerous to go to Ditchover. Domination, duration, and damage. And so did ringside judges Chris Lee and Ron McCarthy. Junichiro Kamiho didn't see it that way. Send to refereeing school 2-3 years and forget is my advice. In the third, Jan, despite being beaten and bloody, looked the fresher fighter and did manage to knock Bogdan down. And I think from a body shot, he couldn't quite get the finish, and so we ended up with a draw. And I saw quite a few comments online, and the crowds were booing the result. Just what the fuck do people want? Do they want to see judges' scorecards correctly and referees do their job and take points for fouls? Because they do, we will see more draws, which I don't mind one bit. Anyway, Austin, you picked Jan in this, so let's hear what you thought of the old Warhorse performance. How long can he go on fighting? 42 might be the meaning of life, but it's getting on even for light heavyweight.
Yeah. Well, he's doing the Glover Teixeira thing where he's like fighting past his prime, and it's light heavyweight, so a lot of them are not very good. So it's it's one of those things where it's like this is why I picked him. Like he may get caught and he may be put on the back foot. He may even get bludgeoned like we saw in the second round, but he finds a way to get back into the fight. Like hell, he gave Potan his toughest fight aside from Khalil, right? And that was the thing where it's like you're kind of looking at a guy who's maybe not, doesn't have his fastball anymore or, a quick shuffle, but power is the last thing to go, and durability too. Like I should say not durability, but still, the Polish noggin of his definitely could take a bludgeon, that's for sure. And as far as Bogdan is concerned, like, look, here's the thing. He's young enough to compete in this division, and, he could take the draw. It's fine. He could, bounce back with a handful of wins and find himself in title contention in about a year, realistically. I hate the fact that this was a draw only because I was rooting for fucking Jad. When he dropped him, I think that was the thing. It's like, okay, so you gave the first round of 10-9 to Blachowicz because, he was out there just kind of leading the exchanges, not so much winning the fight outright, but just getting the better of, what was being given between the two of them, right? You say whoever's able to implement their game plan better, Jan was able to do that in the first round. Then gets caught going backwards, getting clipped, and then just pretty much having to defend for his life. You can argue that as a 10-8 for sure. I mean, he was doing what you're supposed to do. You hurt your opponent, you stay on top of your opponent, and you don't let them up until you find the finish. And he wasn't able to Jan's credit. And then in the third round, they're kind of going back and forth. You see Blachowicz just say, fuck it. He goes straight for the fucking combination, and Bogdan's like, oh fuck. He gets caught, right? And the one thing I think if Jan had just stayed on top of him, just raining repeated hammer fist from the left hand and kept the overhook on Bogdan, he probably gets a stoppage win with the last 10 seconds right there. Right? If he how Tyra did to Moreno, just holding position, landing continuous offense that's not being defended. He probably gets the win right there. Therefore, I win, and hey, it's all good, right? No, but no, he tried to do the thing where he's looking super recklessly for the strikes to get the finish, and Bogdan's able to kind of slip a handful of them and find his way back up to his feet. Therefore, only awarding him the 10-9 in the third round and then a draw overall, which is, again, like you said, Mouse, it's the correct call. Do you like it? You don't have to like it, but that's the correct call. I hated it because I wanted Jan to win, but that's about it. Great fight. Almost fight of the night, but, we've had plenty of those for sure. So not bad. Not a bad performance from you, the man. And that's what light heavyweights should be. A guy getting old man can still, give and take, and the young guy being able to survive and, make it past the third round. That's it.
Okay. Lazy, I thought you'd pick Jan too, but I see on Discord you joined me in the Anthony Smith Jr. camp. So thoughts on the fight? You happy with the 10-8 round? And I believe you said something on Main Card Minute about being some guy, or the amount of money you would have earned if you'd gambled on this being a draw. I don't know if you can remember what you said.
Yeah. I agreed with the 10-8. I think actually me and Dave both on the Discord last night as it was happening, both agreed it was a 10-8 at the same time. Then we seen, of course, like you mentioned, the Aaron Broadstetter tweet saying he thought it was as well. So that's as good as gold. That's concrete fucking information there if it's coming from him. So I felt it was totally justifiable to have it a draw. I thought that was the right call. And I agree full-heartedly that if we want these fucking judges to correctly score fights and referees to correctly officiate fights, then we need to expect and accept more possibilities for draws. So no problem with the draw there. Thought that was the right call. Jan looked good early. Nice leg kicks. He always has great leg kicks. But the second round was clear as day, 10-8 to me. I don't object to this whatsoever. So basically, I thought it was the right call. And to touch on what you mentioned before, the majority draw here, if you had put $100 on that bet, you would have gained back 5,000.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Fuck! I should have done that.
It might be one of those weird things in gambling. It might be worth betting on draws in fights, but probably not, because that's about 50 to 1. That's 50 to 1 odds, isn't it?
$20 you never want to see again.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there have been little scams like that exist in betting, but obviously this one probably isn't going to matter. Anyway, that just leaves us with the best of the rest, and there were quite a few juicy morsels to consider. And I'm going to let you go first, Austin. Go on, surprise us by talking about the only ladies' fight on the card.
Actually, you know me too well. Here's the thing, man. Macy Barber made her way back into the cage and actually fought this time. And aside from some health concerns and possibly some physical, questions about her mentality or even health going into the fight, she kind of answered everything. As much as I hated to admit that, she won the fight. She won the fight fair and square. It's not like it was, controversial. Silva kind of gave up the third round, and I'm not sure as to why, but it's one of those things where it's like Macy has this ability to kind of pull the fight out of you and then make sure there's not a whole lot left by the end of it. And that gives her momentum to kind of take for, physicality, because she's actually really dangerous in the clinch. She's also very capable of, being top aggressive and finding any real moment to kind of look for damage, which is, it's one of those things that's rare in women's MMA, where a competitor is looking for every single opportunity, not just to score, but to score damage. And she does that. Like, I think she was landing some terrible, attempts at ground and pound at the end of the first, but then all of a sudden she's like landing some hard right hands at Silva's face, and it looked like it kind of landed pretty quick. And she's in the second round, and she's handling herself like pretty well. And again, she finds this way to just like drain the fight spirit out of you, and she to the point to where Silva just kind of was like, I'm going to just give minimal effort in the third round, and I'm going to hope that I get the decision, which is a terrible fucking strategy just to begin with. But that's the Macy Barber we kind of all remember. That's the Macy Barber who we were expecting to kind of show up. She's now a 7-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken, and she's still young enough to be considered a prospect in this division. She probably needs one more just to get back in there, to get back into the flow of the fight. Because she ate a couple of right hands. She kind of mistakenly took some exchanges in the grappling department and just kind of left them up in the air. She's there as a prospect, I think even better, honestly, than Erin Blanchfield, which is kind of crazy to say considering who Blanchfield has fought and beaten. Maybe that's the fight. I don't know. But the fact that Macy Barber is back, she's looking like the real deal again. I still have questions, but he was a good performance nonetheless. So there's that.
Okay. Go on, Lazy. I'll bring up the rear if you leave me anything.
Oh, we'll bring up the rear on Macy Barber. I see what you're doing here.
There was a cameraman very on point on that last night.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there was a camera on Bogdan Gusko that was very on point on that too. Shout out to him for getting caught looking at it. But not a whole lot to say about this one. Fairly close fight, but I picked Macy because I figured seeing her on the scale and seeing her actually look somewhat decent on the scale, making weight, this seemed like the result that was going to happen. So wasn't surprised by what went down. Not really a whole lot of takes on this fight, other than, for the love of fucking God, do not rebook Macy Barber versus Aaron Blanchfield. Please do not remake that fight. I do not want to see that. Even though I didn't, we never technically seen it the first time. I seen all I need to see of it already. So that tells you everything you need to know.
I wasn't really meaning that fight. I meant any other fights on the card. Do you want to talk about?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
His eyes are on the prize.
I'm doing JBR over here, and then I'm also watching, shout out, our guy Long Island Luke, who's on Submission Radio right now, wearing the JBR beanie. Let's go.
Is he? Good man. We'll be
JBR
there
getting
soon.
repped.
I've got too much long to go.
So this is best of the rest? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, best of the rest.
Oh, God. We went best of the rest, and Austin picked Macy Barber?
Yeah, as predicted by me. Mystic Mouse
fuck
again.
off, Lazy. At least I was paying attention to the show.
We had such good stuff that happened here. You could name like 5 different things. Well, since you went with that, I'll name 2 real quick. Got a shout out, Jalen Turner in his win over Edson Barbosa. A guy that I've said this like 10 times now. I was dead set on fading Jalen Turner if he ever came back from retirement. I thought for sure whoever he faced, I was going to pick against him because the guy quit because of PTSD, had a religious awakening. Now he's back, and like, how the fuck is this guy going to fight and fight well? Well, it turns out, he was motivated by the Spirit of Christ last night. He was on a crusade, and he just wiped out poor Edson Barbosa. Bloody fight. It was just a shellacking, and hopefully Edson retires. It's time. But it was a very fun JBR bloody affair. Love to see it. And then also have to give some love to Polish Power 2.0, Ivo Barnashevsky, who just fucking had Takayama versus Don Fry 2.0 versus Ivo Aslan here. 90 seconds of chaos, winging their fucking fists as hard as they could, reckless abandon, no regard for human life. And everybody saw how it ended. Multiple drops, both guys going down, but in the end, it was the Polish man coming out with the finish. He promised that he was going to do this. He told everyone he was going to do it, and he did it. So look forward to his next fight. And there's still multiple fights on this card that we could discuss.
Yeah, Pat. Yeah, but I was gonna say real quick, Pat Barry versus Czech Congo 2 is what came to mind. That was it. Also, fuck Dominic Cruz for that post. If you were meant to fight with a broken fucking arm, dude, like, go fuck yourself. Like, you might as well just called you literally had TJ Dillashaw on your podcast, you fucking idiot, and that's why you guys were like, oh yeah, that's why I have respect for you. Like, motherfucker, you're not supposed to be doing that. That's how this. Oh my god, I can't do it. That's why you fucking retired, you fucking idiot. But whatever. I had to get that out.
That's why I didn't even bring that tweet up, because we would have gone 30 minutes on just that alone.
God damn it.
So stupid.
Yeah, Lazy's kind of snatched the ones that I was really going to talk about there, because Jalen Turner defeating Edson Barbosa. I said that I picked that fight perfectly, first round KO, and that was the worst 100 points I made on Tapology all last night. And obviously that light heavyweight bout, I mean, that's the best 90 seconds I've had since I last got laid.
We might as well shout out Mansour Abdul Malik too for that standing guillotine of Antonio Trocoli.
Yep, that was a nice one again. Yeah.
Oh, he lifted him off his fucking feet with a guillotine. Ugh.
Yeah. Seen it done a couple of times. I thought we were going to mention the almost decision fight between Chris Duncan and Terrence McKinney.
Yeah, how about that, Austin? Huh? You almost got it.
Yeah,
I was on the edge of my seat.
All right. Just before we rate the card, a quick thank you to everyone who joined us in the Just Bleed Radio Tapology Pick'em League last night. Lazy made a brave effort, but fell just short of the podium in 4th place. Our favourite Russian, Jan Paul, took bronze. Gordian Knott, who tried to claim he was bad at making picks, stole into silver medal position. And who was it who took the inaugural week's gold medal? Oh yeah, that'd be me. Thanks, guys. Smug Mouse. We have one more fight card this year, so jump into the league. The link should be in the description. Get in now because we'll be starting a new league in the new year, and that's that dealt with. So it is now time to rate that card. And Lazy, you can go first.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going first. Just look at the fucking results. Just look at the results. We had plenty of finishes, very fun fights. As I always say, one of my big things, stakes. There was high stakes in multiple bouts on this card, even outside of the main and co-main event. So this one really had it all. But then you kind of factor in the fact that the main card was a little bit weird. It was kind of strange considering you start with a draw, then we get a good fight, but it's a Henry Cejudo who is literally announced that he's on his way out the door. Then you get a stoppage in the Tyra Moreno fight that some people object to. You get a weird injury in the co-main event that cuts that one short. And then in the main event, you have what I pointed out earlier, where it's kind of a question of, did we just basically find out that the key to beating Merab was having him fight 4 times in a year, and cut weight 4 times in a year? That could be the case. So there are a lot of things that you kind of raise an eyebrow about with this event, but I can't knock it too hard because it was extremely fun and I really enjoyed myself. It is the final, quote unquote, final pay-per-view ever. So I'll be generous, but not too generous. I'll give it a 7.5.
Ooh, it's quite tight, I think. Austin, you can go next.
8.5. I would have given it a 9 and possibly a 10 had there actually been a co-main event, because I don't count that as a co-main event, but that's fine. Neither here nor there. Van's not going to be on my team next year. Fuck you. Also, fuck you, Lazy, for winning the draft. Again, you piece of shit. Then also, this was a fun card from beginning to end as far as the pay-per-view is concerned. Last pay-per-view of the year. Fuck you, ESPN. And the second to last fight for the ESPN deal. Also, it was just a fun card all around. From the prelims, Czech Congo, Pat Barry too. For the light heavyweight guys, Macy Barber, the only girl that was victorious on the card, showed up. And again, there's plenty of fights that you can talk about, plenty of things. Also, fuck you, Dominic Cruz. Just great time all around. But I can't give it more than an 8.5 because of the co-main event. Also, it is what it is. Fuck you, Van and Henry.
Okay. That was very enthusiastic. Well, anyway, this is 3 cards in a row that have been great. Very similar number of KOs and submissions on all these cards. But his final pay-per-view has, I believe, managed to top them both. And I asked at the start of the show if we would have blood, damage, draws, drug failures, and drama. Well, we had blood, we had damage, we had a draw, and we certainly had drama. No drugs, we left those to Lazy. My last two cards.
Peter Young could still pop for PEDs. It could still happen.
That is true. The last 2 cards are rated 9.16 and 9.18. And because I think this final pay-per-view deserves a great score, I'm going to give it a 9.23, obviously, because it was UFC 323. So, yeah, 9.23 for me.
Big time. Super big time.
I know. Super generous, yeah. I enjoyed it. I had to stay up till, 5:30, 6 o'clock this morning, and I didn't feel tired at any particular time. So, yeah, it's a good card when I do that.
Well, it sure beats staying up till 3 a.m. to see Rebellis de Spain versus Sam Alvey. That was not fun.
I don't know why you torture yourself like that.
That was so funny because
sick man.
You said it was on at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I stayed up to 9 p.m. Eastern time. It didn't come on. I checked, and it was saying it was starting in another hour. So I went to bed. I fell asleep. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, flicked on the laptop to see what was going on, and they were just starting Karate Combat. And then I fell asleep again and woke up, I don't know, 2.5 hours later, 3 hours later, wherever it were, just in time to see Sam Alvey getting bludgeoned into unconsciousness by Rebellis de Spain, who was that referee was arguably worse than Mark Smith.
Yeah. Hey, at 3 a.m. after all that fucking wait and as many delays as they had, I was fine with that referee letting it go. Somebody had to pay for that, and it just happened to be Sam Alvey. Sorry, buddy. That was my redemption.
Yeah, I didn't get to see Chris Barnett. I missed that one. I'm going to have to look it up on YouTube. Anyway, that then is us all done. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening, and we hope to see you again soon. So if you like the video, and we will be back next week with Lazy steering us through the final UFC card of 2025, taking place at everyone's favorite warehouse in Las Vegas. Until then, go on, get lost. I need a drink. Let's get out of here. Say bye, guys.
Bye-bye, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.
We did it! Yeah! Holy fuck. Oh my god, I wanted to fucking throw my chair at the fucking TV when that happened, dude. I just like, oh my god, why? Lazy!
Do you know what Jose Aldo and GSP have in common?
Fuck you, Lazy.
Dave's shouting at us now from the staff room.
Fuck you, Dave.
There is your summation of this fight right there. This didn't happen by accident. This happened because Peyton Talbot defended a head kick and shoved Pantoja down. Now,
Ban.
Peyton Talbot defended a head kick. Strange in this fight.
yeah. Well, I mean, it happened. Pantoja threw a fucking head kick.
Joshua Van.
Sir, this is an Arby's, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. I'm Let me rewind the record. I was sorry. I was looking at Peyton Talbot pictures to post on the Discord right before I fucking